They actually.
Oh.
All right, so we're gonna, that's my form of a gavel there, thank you. Call the meeting to order at this time. I want to welcome, obviously, board members and then those members of the public, our employees that have joined us tonight, we appreciate it. And we're gonna start with a word of prayer from John Schwan.
Okay, thank you, Jim. Can we bow our heads, please? Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you that we're able to gather here and go about the business of Georgetown Township, and we pray for your wisdom and we pray for your guidance. We want to thank you, Lord, for the wonderful employees we have work here, and we reflect on our first responders that are willing to lay their lives down for us, and we just pray that you'll protect them and keep them safe. Thank you for our facilities and our library and our parks and beautiful night out there that people get a chance to enjoy them. We also, Lord, reflect on what's going on in the Middle East and with Israel, and we just pray, Lord, for a lasting peace over there, and please have your hand involved in that, as you always do. Thank you again for this opportunity tonight. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. And ask our clerk to call roll.
All is present.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Any comments about tonight's agenda? I've got one if others don't, but I'll defer to you guys first.
Jim, I know we have a chance to ask questions and relate things. And we've got the evaluation of Rob tonight, and so that would normally put it after that. If we could do that before.
Referring to board discussion then?
Yes.
Okay, general information and so on. Okay.
Could we do that before
How about and I guess I'd piggyback on that, how about the second public comment period as well being bumped up to before the closed session? Because the objective, I think, is when we come out of closed session, we want to be able to tell the public when we go into closed session that we'll only come out of closed session to adjourn and nothing more. So it'd be a matter of finishing our business so others can leave. I know it would seem we've got a couple of people contacting me who'd like to speak during that second public comment period as potential candidates for office, and so we'd prefer not to keep it because we're not sure how long we'll be in closed session. So I guess we'll make that a motion to amend the agenda in the manner which we've just described and to bump those items above the closed session. Is there a second for that? All right.
Yes. Support.
All right. Discussion? Concerns? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we'll move those up. So there'll be, I guess, 13A and B. Okay. All right, with that amendment now, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda as amended? So moved.
Support.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Item 6, communication letters and reports received the board's information. Item 7, public comments for action items, remaining on the agenda this evening. So if any of you came tonight to speak to agenda items, this would be your opportunity to do so before we deliberate about them. There will be, as I say, come on up. There will be a second public comment period about anything that you like. Okay, so, yes.
Town Precinct 13. I want to talk about the level 4 assessor that you're looking at getting a contract from Ottawa County for what, $2.2 million. What I was hoping for, I know you're under a time crunch and you have regulations from the state, but I'm hoping that you can delay doing that action with the county and looking at outside the box and trying to figure out a way how we can get a level 4. Maybe we can put an offer out there that's probably substantially more than a level 4 you'd be willing to pay, because on a yearly basis it's going to be $550,000 for this person or the county to do it. So if we put a bid out there for a $300,000 level 4, we would still be saving the county money. And, if they got to bring a couple extra people with them, for support personnel, maybe you offer something like $250, $200 with a signing bonus. And if you put that out there on LinkedIn or Indeed, I'm sure someone from a different city, township, I mean, there's got to be people in Detroit that want to move over to Georgetown. And, hey, you could even pay their moving expenses, and it would still save us millions. So I'm hoping you guys are up for being a hero and saving us millions and looking at this maybe outside the box and not just make the decision tonight and just delay it. And let's look at this from a different direction. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll close that initial public comment period. Move on to item number 8, which is called the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda?
So moved. Support.
It moves supported. Any board member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? Who's with those? All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? It is passed. Item 9 now is a proposed ordinance to revise Section 3.4G on accessory buildings having to do with doors and heights of doors and the like. Is there a motion to place this before the board?
So moved. Support.
So moved and supported. This came out of Planning Commission, which I know Gary's our representative, but I think it seemed pretty plain in their report as to why, the rationale behind it. They felt the median height was indicative enough of our concerns about being too high, and that it would give, with this change, a little more freedom to our residents to make better utility of those accessory buildings. At least that's how I read it. Questions, concerns, discussion?
Jim, I have a question. Is it just changing it basically from 12 feet to 14 feet? I was a little confused in reading it all. That is correct. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I did read it right. All right. Thank you.
Gary, did anybody come to planning to debate that or advocate for it, or was it?
Not really, because the problem is that most motorhomes you can't get in a 12-foot door. So the idea is to go to a 14-foot door. The other thing is that we've changed the mean height a little bit, because when a lot of this was put together, a lot of our homes had, a 412 pitch, and you didn't have very high. But a lot of the homes now have steeper pitch roofs. And, we asked the residents to build an outbuilding that looks like their house, so it kind of keeps the same look, and yet we have told them you can't really put a high pitch on that roof because you're limited to that 412 pitch with that mean height. And so we're hoping that by doing this, we can make the buildings in the backyard look a little more like the homes themselves. And maybe if they want to put a 600 square feet, build a 20 by 30 building, you can at least get a camper in there or something like that. So that was the reasoning behind that.
That just came up organically in the Planning Commission?
It did. We've looked at it. We've been looking at a lot of ordinances, just different things that are dated. They've been in that book for a long time, and we have had a couple of contractors that have contacted us and said, this 12-foot door thing is kind of like messing up. Why is there a limit on that? So.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion or debate? Roll call vote is to change ordinance. So, clerk, would you call the roll?
Mrs. Graffin?
Yes.
Mr. Velding?
Yes.
Treasurer?
Yes.
Supervisor?
Yes.
Clerk is yes. Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Swam?
Yes. And zero.
I appreciate the Planning Commission taking just kind of ordinance by ordinance and keeping up on things. Item 10 then, the assessor proposal. A motion to contract for the assessment work to be done with Ottawa County. It says 4-year contract. I believe it's 4 or 5, was it? Was it 4? And then 5 the 4 years, 1 month. Yeah, 4 years, 1 month. Yep. Is there a motion to place this in discussion before the board?
So moved.
Support.
Right, moved and supported. Open for discussion. This did come out of finance, so Brian or Michael and I can all talk about it. We received a lot of information through Rob, Justin, Kelly came, Jill came, my bad, and was very helpful. And they're here tonight as well. We've also got from the county, help me, is it Brian?
Brian and Josh.
Brian and Josh, okay, thank you for coming. our invitation to you. Appreciate you accepting that. And I think, Rob, I know you talked to us at length on finance. You've maybe talked to other board members. So it's before the board. It's not an easy thing to relinquish. You know, it feels like quintessential government process, right? You do your assessing. But there's reasons why it's really difficult right now. So discussion is open.
Was it unanimous in finance? Was it unanimous in finance?
It was unanimous. Obviously, we had questions along the way. Obviously, none of us like to hand over power from the township level up to the next level. The biggest thing for this one was the struggle to find a level 4. Do you know what was the deadline that we have to have one by?
We have to have the role, a level 4 role is projected. It's projected based on SED growth by 2026. If not, and that number keeps, that time frame keeps shrinking because we're growing at a faster rate than projections. So this really is about staffing and certification issues. So we've had Jill as our assessor, who's now, based on discussions of level 4 and staffing needs, Jill's a level 3. So we've been working for 6-7 months trying to fill that void with no success. Trying to get a level 4, and then anticipating if we were to get a level 4, the certain staffing needs that would come with that, and it far exceeds our current staffing model, both in terms of FTE and certification. And that process for level 4 is very difficult, very hard, and we have tried mightily to look for that. And then with a couple discussions with Brian at the county, saying, okay, what would it look like if we moved to you folks? And we've had some very good discussions after trying to search, again, twice for the level 4 for staffing. We came to the conclusion, both in terms of economics, in terms of added expertise on the industrial side, to ask for a proposal from Ottawa County, and they have provided that. And this is common throughout the state and Ottawa County. I mean, Ottawa County currently services Blendon, Crockery, City of Grand Haven, Hudsonville, and Coopersville. So we are growing, which puts us in that category of level 4 with additional staffing, and it would certainly put our budget to well over $600,000 if we met that. We talked to the county, and the good news is our local control will stay with our own board of review. They'll have office hours in our offices each week, and folks will still be able to talk to Jill and Emily if they have questions. The meat of it will move to the county in terms of the 20% a year parcels reviewed. They have the certified and quality staff. They have more than one level 4. And it just makes sense for us at this time, based on staffing, based on certification, and what's best for Georgetown.
Rob, is there, I am not an expert on how assessing works, and I will be real honest and say that, but are there pros or cons as part of this related to like the people that support assessing? Like I'm thinking Georgetown owned vehicles on the road with mileage going to look at different properties, or our hourly staff or anything like that. If we make this move, are there savings related to those pieces that aren't super obvious on paper?
Yes, we won't need to hire the seasonal summer folks that would drive around and do the inspections.
Okay.
Those would all be handled by the county. So we would have savings there. And
less liability as far as seasonal drivers
less
on the road?
liability because it's now on the county and their work there. So the liability issues, in fact, last summer we had a seasonal assessor get rear-ended. So that those things do happen. We hope they don't happen with the county. But this will be, in my opinion, with discussions with Brian and Josh and Jill, a very seamless process. Our residents will only gain their expertise. They'll still have the ability to come here if they want to go to the board review and ask questions here. And we will have one of their staff people here 4 hours a week, and they will have an open line to the county. So frankly, we're grateful to Brian, who was very open to this arrangement. And in the end, I don't want to save money. It'll cost us less in the long run.
Yeah, I think that's something we discussed in finance, was the fact that currently the budget, well, it's the 2024 proposed budget was over $400,000. So we'll be eliminating pretty much all that. So really, it's not another $525,000 on top of the current. That was going to replace a lot of that assessing budget. And I guess my question is, so as far as the listing goes, where did we list? Where did we post the job opening? Did we hit Indeed?
We've hit Indeed in the past without success. We hit MMA.
We didn't on this one?
Not in this one.
Okay.
No, but we through Brian and his network, we reached out to many. Brian has a network to these folks region-wide and statewide. So Brian sent us several names that we talked to formally and informally. So we've gone to their groups seeking a level 4, et cetera.
So we didn't post it on our website?
Yes, our website.
I was going to say, I thought I saw it on our website for a little bit. But we didn't hit any of the major ones that we would just have to have somebody stumble onto the Georgetown site.
Well, assessors aren't going to stumble on it. They're going to go to MTA. They're going to go to MML.
Did we contact the MTA?
Huh?
Did we contact the MTA?
No, we posted on MTA.
Okay. And Mr. Plummer had asked a question to me, is like, did you, where'd you post it? I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. I thought it was on the website. I thought I saw it. And then he said, have you tried contacting the state? They're the ones with a requirement. They have people who take the test. It seems like a great job program. Like a lot of contractors do it. They go to the skill center and say, hey, here's our company. We're always looking for electricians, plumbers for a business. Just let you know when your graduate. There's an opportunity with us. Did we reach out to the state?
Would not be a contact for that. Brian and the association would be the best contact, and then MTA. So.
And currently, what is our SEV for the township?
Jill's at $2.3 billion.
2.3 billion.
$3.6. Oh, and climbing.
3.6 billion. And what is the state requirement? 3.5, I'm guessing? We already had it, or is it 4? What is it? Where are we?
3.3. So, Brian, you showed this to me last week, and this is a projection. Is that correct? Sure. That's
please. Thank you. Yeah.
This is Brian from the county.
Brian, thanks for coming.
The way that I develop those projections is we look at the increase in value that Georgetown Township is seeing and the increase that the state as a whole is seeing. And they set the certification levels, they've been set years and years ago, and they adjust them up by the average increase around the state. And the thing that I brought to Rob's attention is that Georgetown Township had for years been close, but over the last decade or more, you've been increasing in value at a rate faster than the rest of the state, which means you get closer and closer and closer to that master's level threshold. And the reason that I brought it to their attention last spring, is because you actually went over the threshold after March Board of Review, but then that threshold gets adjusted up by the average rate of inflation, but it was really close. And this year, again, you're above it by about $200 million. After it's adjusted this year, you'll probably drop just below it, but you're getting really close to being above that number even after adjustment.
What's the penalty, Brian, if that happens?
I'm sorry?
What's the penalty if you don't rectify that?
I guess in terms of penalty, that's just an indication to you, you need to have the next level assessor. If you don't, your assessor can't sign that role, and then the state would assume your role.
I see. Yeah. Is it fair to say that the county's not looking to take on these duties for very time? Right. So you take them on, but you're not looking, it's not like you're here advocating.
That is correct. I am not here to advocate for this. We provide this as a service because, frankly, we have a good staff that does good work, and we want we want our communities to be assessed well, right? I always say to my staff, we're public servants, right? We want to serve our communities well, but we're not out advocating that you hire us. If you can find another assessor, fantastic. If not, we want to make sure our communities are assessed well. That's why we provide the service.
And I think that's why we felt all right with this, was there is a 90-day out. That there is a potential that if we were to find a level 4, there is an opportunity to go on our own if we needed to.
We could still keep looking.
We could still looking.
And one of my questions was going to be, is that 3.3 tied to the increase in inflation? And you covered that. You said, yes, it is. So I guess my question would...
Not inflation, the average level of increase in value around the state. So those are two different...
Who's setting that value?
Housing inflation versus general inflation. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So who is it that's setting that? The state saying what that value is? What kind of...
Correct. They
so
look
they're forcing us.
How much did the values go up this year, and they adjust their values accordingly.
Right. And then the question is, of course, the higher the number, the more they benefit as a state.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
So the higher the price is, the more they benefit in revenue. The state does.
But the state's just taking the numbers statewide and averaging them. They're not going out and assigning the numbers, right? They're just taking the numbers and averaging them.
Right. Whatever the values come in at, right, from all of the jurisdictions around the state, whatever the average level of increase is what the certification levels for the next year go up by.
Right. And I know to me it feels like it's sort of a move for total state control at some point. Because was it 2018 where they kind of forced smaller townships, Blendon, Crockery, Polkton, Talmadge, smaller ones with very small budgets, you need an assessor on staff, and then that's when they went to the county? Or your options were find the money for an assessor? Or?
I don't think that's a fair statement. I don't think the state is looking to take over. In fact, I would say the state is probably very similar to the county, and that's not a fair statement. The state is not looking to take anybody's assessment role. They're not looking to get into the role, the responsibility of assessing if they don't have to. They far prefer that local municipalities do their assessing.
Right.
In 2018, I don't remember if there was anything specific that was a change. I know what happened early in the Snyder administration back in 2011, somewhere around there was some incentives for intergovernmental cooperation. And that's when we started offering the service. There was some financial incentive, I believe, for Grand Haven City. I don't remember if Crockery got in on that one or not. Once Snyder was done, those incentives went away. But that's when Ottawa County started doing this. We're not looking to take over the county, and the state is not looking to take over the state for assessing.
Right, which always confused me is, so we're required by law to do assessments every 5 years on rotation. The state knows through satellite imagery what has changed, but they don't share that with us. And if we don't catch that change, we are penalized. So it seems kind of crazy. The state knows. Why don't they tell us, like, hey, keep an eye out on this property. Satellite image is showing. They added an addition. Did they pull a permit?
Sure.
So that's why I always look at it. It just seems a little strange.
Sure. Well, I guess one of the things that the county does aerial photos, and we have access to all of that as well, right? As do all of the municipalities that participate in the county GIS program.
Ryan, you and your team will have regular office hours here, correct?
Say that once again. Do we have regular office hours?
You'll have regular office hours here, at least once a week?
Once a week. I believe the way the contract is written is 4 hours a week. We'll have somebody on staff here.
Yeah. Is it a charge per parcel, or what? How is it based? How is the $525,000? How is that?
That number, I guess, over the years we have found pretty good consistency in a cost per parcel basis. So that's how that's put together. We look at the parcel count for Georgetown Township, and we apply our expected cost per parcel to that.
Because that was something I brought up at finances is, can we get a better deal? And it kind of sounds like it's just, that's the rate.
You may, but not from us.
Right.
Right.
So you guys are
our rate is our rate, and we offer it. Our intention, not with this contract, but with all of our contracts, is that we offer the service at a break even. Now, of course, some years we're a little bit ahead, some years we're a little bit behind, but our intention is to offer the service at a break even.
And that was going to be my next.
Does not view this as a net positive
revenue stream.
Revenue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that was going to be my next question as far as the county audits go. I don't know a whole lot about. I know the very big budget in the county. So are you a separate department then? Is it the assessing department, or what is it?
It is a division of the equalization department.
Equalization department. And then like past 5 years for audits, net position increase, decrease, up 1 year, down 1 year?
Say that one more time.
Net position increase for your division, your department?
How many positions have we
No,
added?
like, are you in the red year after year or in the black?
No, we come out ahead, I'm going to say almost every year, but by a very, very small margin.
$100,000?
100,000? No, not 100,000. I don't know off the top of my head what that number is. Like I say, our intention is to break even. Some years we don't, some years we do.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot, just I've got lots of questions and I'm always
I'm happy to answer.
looking at it, every possibility, every option, thinking outside the box.
So Brian, has there been any change in the law of late that would have affected or increased the number of townships or cities that would have to qualify with a level 4 assessor, or has the law remained fairly static for a long time?
No, I would say it's not it wasn't a law change. It was an administrative change, probably, by memory here, I'm going to say it was probably 3 or 4 years ago, that actually made the requirements for level 4 less. And what they did is, if I remember the details right, it used to be, either way, what they changed it to is if you have a master's level unit in your county, then the county director also has to be a master's level. And that lessened the amount of master's level assessors at the county level that were necessary around the state.
It would help the county level, but not what we would require?
If you had a county that had no master's level units in it, which there are a number of them, right? When you get north of Muskegon, there are far fewer counties that have master's level townships or cities in them. If you have none in your county, then the county equalization director also does not need to be a master's level.
I just had one more question. So, and I kind of ran the scenario in finance. So what happens if, we have another 2008? I'm surprised that hasn't happened yet. Home values keep going up and up and up. And you think at some point it's going to be like, that's it. We topped out. So if the market turns, the economy tanks after the election, and housing values go down, does that bring us back below that level? So at that point, we're good with our level 3 assessor?
Yeah, so that's a good question. It may, but you got to remember that you would have to go down at a rate lower than what the rest of the state is also going down. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Basically, the state's going to say is like it was 3.3, and now suddenly it's going to be 2 because we know your values drop. So you're still going to have to have a level.
I'll be honest, I don't remember exactly how the numbers worked 17 years ago or whenever that was, but that is their standard process how they do that.
Because in part of me, as I always say, as a member of the board, my questions are when it's spending or any kind of proposal is like, how did we get to this point? Like,
sure.
Jill has done a phenomenal job. Emily has done a phenomenal job. Ryan, Sean, phenomenal jobs. They're handling it, no problem, no issues. We haven't gotten any letters from the Department of Treasury in regards to our assessing. They're doing a phenomenal job. So last night, our population didn't double, or we didn't have 500 homes being built. So it's like one of those is like, it's the state forcing us to do it, which is kind of what we agreed in finance was our hands are tied. There's really nothing we could do. I would like to see more of a search, to put Indeed and whatever the job searches are. And that's nothing. I mean, you got a fixed price, so it doesn't matter. Don't take that as like an insult. That I think your price is too high. I just look at it and say, if we're spending $525,000, we can get a level 4 for $250 and 2 level 2s for, I don't know, 100 with benefits, and now we're at 450. So.
And that is something for you guys to deliberate. That is not for me to deliberate.
Right. Yep. I'm just trying to compare the two.
So Brian, have you seen it before where a township or a city has turned to the county for this help and then taken it back? Has that happened in your experience?
Not in Ottawa County. In other counties, I have heard of that happening, but in Ottawa County, that has not happened.
And if that happened where a city or a township were to take it back, there's nothing that would preclude them from then turning back to the county again if the need arose, a year or two later.
If the powers that be at the county decided that they wanted to take them back, then it would.
So it would be at your discretion. You could say no.
I'll say it's partly my discretion, partly the County Board of Commissioners' discretion, right? I mean, I work for them as well, right? So even if you approve it, my intention, if you approve, would be to bring this before the County Finance and County Board of Commissioners, and either of those boards may say, we're not interested, and this goes away, right? I report to them.
So the need for a level 4 is based on the value of properties in the township, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm. In your case, yes, that is the case.
So my question is that does those value of properties, does that change at all where the need for level 4? I guess my point is everybody's going to need a level 4 if we don't adjust property values to go up with the needs of level 4 or level 3. Do they adjust that?
So maybe I'm not explaining
that. I'll give you an example. Let's say we have $3 million worth of value, and you say you got $3 million in level 4. So is that $3 million always there, or does the state at times go, well, the property value's got to get here to get a level 4, and the property's going to get a level 4?
Every year it adjusts based on the average increase or decrease around the state.
All right, because if you don't do that, then everybody's going to need level 4 eventually. That's why I'm asking the question.
You've been close to this number for many, many years.
Right.
But you keep getting closer to the threshold, and now you're tipping back and forth every year. And that was why I had brought this to Rob and Jill's attention, just to say, hey, put this on your radar. Right. You're getting awfully close.
So I just want to bring up, though, from a point of this, if the county decides to do, if we decide to do this with the county, and then Brian says, okay, we're going to bring on 2 more people, whether they be level 2, level 3, to be able to do our work. So you got to bring more people on. And then you go 6 months and go, well, you know what? We're going to apply for our guys, and we're going to get this, and we're going to drop it. And then that doesn't work. I said, well, now we're going to go back to the county. And meanwhile, Brian, it's like the XL pipeline. You put half of it in, then you cancel it. And the other guy goes, well, I'm not finishing that part because I don't know if the next administration is going to say, going to pull the plug. And then the county goes, you know what? We worked with you. We hired people to do this. Now you guys want to pull the plug. Now you want to come, you can't, this isn't a wishy-washy thing. I think that if we're going to approve this, we need to approve it for the 4 years and make a decision on it, because I don't think it's fair for the county to put people on and then turn around and say, well, maybe we'll find some of their own people in the 90 days you cancel. I'm just cautioning everybody, because we're a large township in Ottawa County. He's going to bring people on.
It's going to be a meaningful list.
We're the 1/6 of the population of Ottawa County. So it's a big deal. These guys are bringing on a lot of work.
It's surprising you include a 90-day out. It does surprise me. Without cause.
Yeah, I wouldn't put a 90-day out if I was running, I can tell you that.
What you're saying to us, though, is, hey, your mentality ought to be, even if you've got the option.
Well, I think you need to think about what your decision is, because you're making a commitment, and if you make the commitment, you got to stick with it, because that's not fair.
Well, I think part of the 90 days is this is going to take you time to get 2 employees. I mean, it's not like you got 2 people just waiting, like, do we start tomorrow? What does Georgetown say? It's going to take you, what's your estimate to find 2 employees to take on the workload of Georgetown?
I've been reaching out to a number of them. I would like to have some people probably maybe by mid-July, some people in line.
Level 4? Are you a level 4?
Yes, I am.
How much would it take for you to come to?
You want to come to
I like
Georgetown?
your thinking, Ryan.
I'm like, I gotta sell it at least. I mean, I gotta try. I got a level 4 right here.
That's what it comes down to, though. I mean, the state's unlikely to change the law or the requirements or lessen them or simplify them or make it easier for us. Our best option down the road, I suppose, if we ever said, hey, we're not renewing, is more likely to be that it's got more competitive in the level 4 field, that they've, you know, that they don't have the ability to sort of call the shots, which it feels like they do right now.
Maybe say that. I'm not quite following.
Well, I think if they would lessen, maybe over time you have either more people in the pipeline going, level 4 is the place to be. These guys make good money. And you get more people in that field. That seems to be the greater likelihood of why we might someday say, well, let's not renew, than that the state changed something about the law. I hope that could become more competitive.
Sure. There are a number of people that get certified at the master's level.
Do they limit it? Do they say only so many, or do they?
No.
Oh, okay.
They don't limit it to the best of my knowledge. I will say on average, there's probably 20 people that begin the program every year. So that, at least in theory, would be 20 potential master's level assessors going through every year.
It must either be really hard or really boring or both to get 20 people for that kind of salary.
I think there's probably an economic component to it as well.
Okay.
You can make pretty good money as an advanced level assessor. And when you go to a master's level assessor, not everybody is interested in attending board meetings and getting grilled by board members and putting budgets. It's not everybody's cup of tea to do that.
Is there anything higher than a level 4? Is there a level 5?
No, there's not.
Not yet.
That's a black
But
belt.
could the state create level 5 Master Jedi Assessor?
I'm not here to speak for the state.
The wonder is when they're going to move the goalpost next and where they're going to be, is what my concern is. And I understand the 4-year contract too, and I totally get that, is you don't want to hire staff and then just to have us pull the rug out and say, well, guess what?
Correct.
Enjoy your 2 new employees because we're not going to pay. As far as 4-year is, I mean, typically there's something like that would be like a 2-year, and there was mention of maybe to be along at the same contract renewal date as other townships. That's the reasoning for the 4-year?
Yep.
Is it we could do a 2-year?
I'm sorry?
Is it something we could do a 2-year?
No, I would not be interested in pursuing that for
Okay.
the very reasons that you mentioned.
Fair enough.
We're hiring staff in order to fulfill this contract, and I really have no interest in letting people go because you guys decide to go a different route.
Right. And
If you're going to decide to go a different route, I would say make that decision on the front end, not 90 days from now.
Right. And then, so you would be the level 4, who would be our level 4.
That is correct.
There's no other level 4s at the county?
Is there any other?
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you're going to get your time's divided up now by another person, so that's not fair to Zealand Township or whoever else you're.
Correct. Yep. We have assessing staff that
Okay.
will fulfill these contracts.
So you've been helping Rob and Justin try to find a level 4 with the postings and everything,
Correct. Yep.
and to no avail.
Well, we had one guy join us for a week.
I think
Yeah, that's right.
would be better speaking to that than I
Okay.
do.
Gentlemen that we have.
So how much, so if you're level 4, are you limited to what you can cover?
No, I am not. Once you're certified at the master's level, there's no cap to your level of certification. And that, I'm going to say it almost has to be that way because of the values that you see around the state, right? All of the other categories of certification have, well, I can give them to you. The MCAO is from $764 million and under, and then the next category is $764 million up to $3.3 billion, and then anything above $3.3 billion requires a master's level assessor. If they were to put another category in there from 3.3 to say 10 billion, then you get to the city of Detroit and nobody can certify it, right? They have to have anything above this level can certify that role.
So, and that was going to be another question. So does Detroit, how do they handle that? So all they need is one level 4 for the city of Detroit and they're good? City of Grand Rapids, same thing?
Correct. The city of Detroit, I believe, is structured a little bit different by charter, that I think they actually have 3 assessors by charter. But I'm not here to speak to the city of Detroit.
Right, and it just kind of reminds me of the whole thing of, like what we had with the lead pipes in Georgetown from DEQ Eagle, about like, you're Georgetown, you have, 16,000 water customers, so you need to be 310 tests. But Detroit, who has literally 50 times bigger than us, they had to do like, I think it was like 5 more than us. So it's state government. It's not your fault.
Thank
not
you
your fault.
for handling these questions so professionally.
I'm happy to have you. Like I say, I would rather you make the decision that's best for you now than change 90 days from now, because once we hire people for the position, it gets far more difficult for me to end the contract.
Right.
Makes sense?
We understand.
You said 20 people apply each year for the level 4 certification.
Yep.
Do you know what percentage of those 20 make it through?
It changes every year. I would say on average, anywhere from 7 to 9.
Okay.
Finish.
Not bad.
And probably 10 retire. I mean,
no, the number is actually increasing.
Is it increasing?
For a number of years, the number of master's level assessors was going down.
Okay.
The number is increasing. The reality is there are not a lot of people on this side of the state that want to become master's level assessors. And I don't know that I have a reason for that. But I would say probably 3/4 of the people entering the program are east of Lansing.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it, yeah.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Brian,
you.
for your time and your grace.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Thanks,
set?
Brian.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Brian.
Thank you.
Joe, would you like to add anything to the discussion? Anything you want to know? No? And as our expert, you're comfortable that we're looking at this right? Okay. All right. Thank you.
I do have a question. What was the salary compensation package we offered for a level 4 in the job posting? Or was it not?
It was not listed.
It was just like, we need somebody, call us and we'll...
No, it wasn't that. It was a normal listing and compensation was not listed. You do that in discussions after you meet with folks and see if we had our range in our head, but we never hired a level 4 before.
Oh, we did have a range in the ad.
We had a range in our expectations, but no, it was not listed.
Not a salary range, an expectation range.
An expectation? No, not an expectation. We had some thoughts, and some of the thoughts were much higher than ours. So,
because that's what I wondered, is if we did a job posting and said we're offering $250,000, that might shake the trees a little bit. And like Brian said too, is I wouldn't want to agree to it and just to in 60 days go, you know what, we're going to go and find somebody, because you're already putting the wheels in motion. I think we as a board have to make a decision. Do we feel like it's been an exhaustive search? I think a decent effort was made. I would like to see a little more of effort on, I don't even know all the job platforms. I know Indeed and the Glass Ceiling or whatever the other places are, with a salary range. See if that makes a difference.
Are you going to vote no on this?
That's not how this works. You'll know when we do a roll call or the vote.
Well, it passed unanimously in finance. And was his...
Well, there was a recommendation to the board from finance. And we had some questions in there, at least I did. And, and after, some more looking into it and questions, I just don't think it's fair with that 90-day option until we decide. And we have till 2026 too, so we're not going to wait until November of 2020 or 2025 to make this decision. I think we need to act soon. I just wouldn't mind giving it another couple months to see what happens.
Are you upset about you felt the price should be in the posting if you go with a no vote?
I would have liked to have known that when it was posted, we're willing to pay the salary range of, I believe we did that for a superintendent. We said we had a pay range on there. I forget what it was,
I think we did.
Yeah, 120, or maybe it was 100 to 180 or something. We put price range, and it was like, well, you know, somebody will show up and say, I want the 180. It's like, what's your experience? Well, I've never done it, but I think I could. Well, that's what then that person's going to be, depending on what the qualification is how that range, what their actual salary would be.
Seems like we're in non-compliance right now, so our time is limited. It was brought up about a year ago, and so I don't think it's been a quick endeavor. I understand sometimes you post a range, sometimes you don't, and I suppose with as few people as there are qualified in the state, and MTA being what it is, and you having your network that you do, Brian, that there probably aren't lots of these openings at any given time. Thus, I would know about it if I was a level 4, or if I was currently a level 4 somewhere, and I would certainly inquire. It's a great place to be. I'm not convinced that was determinative of whether we got more interest or not. That's just me personally.
And another one I just thought of is level 4. Does it translate from state to state, or is it you have to be a Michigan level 4?
I don't know. Jill, any idea? Brian?
The level 4 certification is specific to Michigan. There is some certifications through IAAO that is that any state recognizes, and if you have that certification, you can apply and have, I believe it's called reciprocity for a master's level assessor in Michigan.
Okay.
But a master's level does not translate in Florida or any place outside of Michigan.
Right. And thanks again for answering all my questions. And again, don't feel like I'm, going after you.
Sure.
I have a fiduciary duty to my taxpayers.
Absolutely.
To make sure I've done my due diligence. I'm not a rubber stamper. So
Yep.
I appreciate you answering the questions and being forthcoming.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, board members.
I would make a motion to table this at this point for further research.
For further research.
Yep.
All right. Is there a second to the motion? The motion is to table for further research. Is there a period of time you're suggesting?
And that's what I thought about is, do I say till the next meeting? I'd prefer not to put a date because, if we can put out a job posting, how quick does that happen? Are we talking?
Well, I would recommend posting a job assessor position for $250,000. I would recommend against that, so.
But how quick can we get a posting out?
Well, we can post something tomorrow. Posting is a simple thing.
Right, just to see. We might find out after 2 weeks that there's nobody interested. They're like, 250, I need 450 to come there. I know what I'm
We've
worth.
done it for almost a year, so this is our recommendation. My recommendation to you, now to you.
So we've looked for over a year.
Almost a
This man
year.
is incredibly impressive, and he has a wealth of experience. He's a level 4. He's answered all of these questions. And then to say to you, well, it's been a year, but we just think we ought to table this for a little bit longer. I'm totally against that.
Well,
I think it's wonderful that he's willing to even do this for us and be on site and save us. And I feel sorry for Jill and all the hard work she's had to go through. And this is just one of those hoops you get where you get masters and these high degrees. There's just not very many people. So I think it's a slam dunk. But the safe thing to do is to always vote no.
is there a second to the motion? All right, hearing none, that motion to table fails. There is a motion on the floor right now, but there's also the opportunities of further discussion. I know a lot of the discussion has been this way, but if there's any more among us, if not, this is going to be a roll call vote.
He is incredible. We'd be lucky to get him.
That's why I asked him if he wanted to come to Georgetown.
Yeah.
I think it's, well, and I think you're twisting it trying to say that. I don't know if you're implying that I don't think he's, is that what you're trying to say is I don't think he's good for the job? And that's not it at all, is I have a fiduciary duty to my taxpayers to ask questions.
I'm
not a rubber stamper.
We've been looking a year.
Has it been posted a year? 1 year. Has it been posted for 1 year?
No, it's been posted twice. We've been in this process for almost a year. But Mike, I don't know the exact posting. We've done an exhaustive search. And again, I would recommend against the posting offering an assessor level 4, $250,000.
So it hasn't been posted for a year. But the first posting was it 6 months ago?
Listen, I didn't say that. Mr. Schwam did, so don't ask me that. Ask
Well,
John.
you said you posted it twice. I'm asking, when did you first post it?
I can get you that information. I'll get you the exact date.
Okay, perfect.
I'll email it to you.
You can't email it to me.
Why
You didn't
not?
give me an email.
Why can't I email it to you?
Because you didn't give me you won't send it to my account I've been using for 7 years.
Your personal account.
My township
I
account.
will not send an email to your personal account. That's
And I'm
correct.
not going to get into the discussion of how you got phished and the password got changed and some hackers tried to take $88,000. That's not the road we're
You
going
know
down.
that?
So
I will email that information to you.
I saw the IT invoice. I'm well aware of what happened. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that motion failed. The motion is still before you. It's a roll call vote. I don't think I hear further discussion. All right, I don't think any of us is thrilled to relinquish the assessing position. I mean, I think, as I said before, it feels quintessential government, right? Local government, but I think we all see the realities, or at least largely do so.
Okay, Mr. Chair, it's not a roll call. Are you requesting a roll call?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the prior one. You're right. It's not. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and it's passed. I appreciate your time and input. Item number 11, the 48th Avenue Transmission Line, Phase 1. So Phase 1 of 3 phases. I think it was last fall or winter-ish that we had approved of beginning the process and the engineering and so on. And so here we are. Is there a motion to contract with Dean's Landscaping and Excavating for the amount listed there, $3.5 million roughly?
So move.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Lots of money.
Yeah.
Lots of money, and it's there's gonna be a lot more behind that yet. Forgive me if you remember, but I want to say in the neighborhood of 17-ish million. Gary, I'm looking at you total by the time. So I think it started like 15, and as everything else,
Yeah, this is,
the more it costs.
this is probably $500,000 more than what they originally thought it might be, so.
Okay, only okay. I thought I went up a couple.
This is first, this is the first phase.
Right. Okay. How many people know of Dean's? I know of Dean's.
What's that?
Do you know Dean's Landscaping?
I do not.
I do.
I do not.
I know those guys. I don't know them like a close level or whatever. Just know that they're capable. Any thoughts about what's been put in front of you? Comments? Any questions? Okay.
Brian here.
Oh, perfect.
So I will just make one comment about this water line, because I have been in this business for a long time, and I just want to make sure that we're going to have engineers on the ground doing inspections. That's a pet peeve of mine. I don't want our township people having to do inspections, and that's why we pay the big money for engineering. Make sure those pipes are compacted in and.
We will have a full-time inspector in the shop.
Okay.
Inspector has worked a lot with the
Yep.
township. We have a great relationship with the staff too. So we will have some. Carl, Rob, and I go in with the critical man for you guys.
And you've done some jobs with Dean's? I'm not familiar with Dean's. I know a lot of the big players, but not those guys.
Up in Sand Lake, I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna make come on, Joe. I'm gonna make you come up here. I know.
You're smiling.
I can introduce myself too. So I've met a few of you guys. I'm Lucas Timmer with Prine and Newhoff. So Dean's Landscaping and Excavating, when you see the word landscaping,
Yeah.
you think that they're just a
I know.
small guy
I know.
from Sand Lake, and you see, all they do is landscaping projects? No. So they do massive projects. They've worked with Coopersville on their 16-inch and 20-inch transmission mains along 68th and Lincoln. They also work a lot with Plainfield Township, which is a bigger community, I believe, than you guys, and they're one of their preferred contractors. So
Okay.
we made sure with Prine and Newhoff, we have offices all over the west side of the state here. We made sure to reach out to everyone in our company and say, would you recommend these people, and are they a good contractor? And we've received no bad input.
Good.
So.
Questions for these gentlemen, or
Got to start. What do you think the start date would be?
That's a good question.
That's why I asked it.
Speak up to that one. So I know Ben, I've worked with him before on Coopersville and that transmission main. Talked to him. He said it's possible they'll start in the fall if the projects don't line up. You know, if he ends up not getting some bids that are still coming out yet this spring, he would start in the fall. My gut would say it would be the spring of 2025. That's when it's going to start.
Oh, really? That far down?
Yep. So, 24-inch ductile iron, still a good 20 weeks out. It's one of the, as you know, it's supply chain, right? There are certain things that just quite haven't recovered. It's getting better, but it's still a little time out. So.
Yeah, I talked to Aetna this week.
Yeah, I bet you talked to Aetna a lot.
That's going to be one of my questions. So I know steel structures, steel iron for commercial buildings, pole barns, has gone down. Like Wood was saying, that price has gone down, so the bid's gone up. Ductile iron, is it similar to steel? Are we seeing any reduction in price?
I've seen only, from what we've been seeing in estimates, and you know, we do our best to base our estimates on what past jobs were. It's only been going up.
Oh, okay.
And we've noticed, and probably Gary can speak to it too as a contractor, but there's a lot of need for contractors right now. And unfortunately, contractors are having a hard time getting staff. There are a lot of people my age and younger that aren't willing to do the Saturdays and other things, and they're going to Amazon or doing something else, right? So a lot of these contractors are having issues getting staff, and because of that, we've been noticing all across the state prices are going up.
Yeah, because that's part I wondered too. We had the issue with fire trucks because everybody got the free money from the government, so there was a high demand.
There's a lot of big projects right now.
So is it similar where a lot of townships, cities, and villages were like, we got this free money from the government, ARPA, let's do this. So now everybody's fighting for the same ductile iron, so they're like, that's what we want.
That's all across the state. One example of a project we're working on as a company is a force main that's going from Coopersville all the way to Muskegon, split into 3 contracts. So all kinds of jobs like that you guys are competing this job with.
Is that dairy water thing?
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Are there have you worked with a lot of townships?
Yeah, I worked with Holland Township, Phelan Township, Park Township. I worked with Georgetown, Douglas. Yeah.
Has any of them ever said, you know what, prices are high, let's wait? Or is it always just...
I think it's only going to keep going up because everyone has this ARPA money, right? So
right.
I can say us as a company, we're very busy. And we have plenty of work to do. We have more work to do next year than we even know what to do with. And that's not just trying to Newhoff. It's any other engineering company. So.
Well, thank you for working.
Yeah, thank you.
You know?
If this starts in the spring, what's the timeline? And maybe that's more Joel or you.
We have a 18-week project.
Okay.
So the plan's to be done before school starts. You don't want to have Port Sheldon and 48th closed during school. It's a major intersection in the whole county.
For you.
So that is the plan, right? Plans change if weather doesn't agree with us, but that's the completion date was that date in 2025. Mid-August. Yep.
And hopefully before Hudsonville Fair too, because that's a lot of traffic.
Oh, sure.
Okay, here we go. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. All right, any other comments from board members? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 11 is passed. Item 12, the Walton Heath Pumping Station roof. There a motion to contract with Osterhirt? Is that how you say that, Gary?
Yep, so move.
All right.
Support.
Supported. Comments? Anyone? It just needs to be done. All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, passes. 2024 road resurfacing. I think we all have heard that it came in lower than expected, which is great. And now it's a matter of approving the contract. Is there a motion to approve that contract?
So move.
Support.
Support.
All right. I'll talk about big money tonight. There's more big money and well spent. Any thoughts, comments among the board? Okay.
Well, I think that, Ryan, when I got on, I think Ryan had a good idea of trying to keep these roads more in sections. And I think that has really helped. And, being more efficient, and we're getting lower bids from that, so we're getting a larger area done, and I think as years go by, it'll even be better because you'll end up just doing a section here every so many years, and I think that's helped with our bids, doing a larger chunk and then spending more money. So you get your companies, they come in and they can just set up and do an area. So I think that's been beneficial for us.
It was a delightful surprise what this came in at.
Yeah.
I did have a question. So we allocated, wasn't it 2.5 last year of ARPA funds to roads?
2.5, right? And then the other one was for fire.
Our truck, aerial truck.
Yep, which was 1.75. And then we did, was it 1.5 for lift stations?
I believe so. That would be all of it then. Because there was only 3 or 4 items. Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
So the math on that brings us
Truck.
What's up?
We'll have 1.8 and change of ARPA remaining to go towards the ladder truck, and then it's gone.
And we received what, 5.5 million ARPA?
5.1.
5.1. Just look at 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. I'm just wondering if we respent that ARPA. This is the second time we're respending the ARPA money, or did?
Are we confident in the numbers? They're 1.5, 2.5. I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh yeah. I want to say, I don't think roads is 2.5. Was it 2.5? You have to pull up.
I'd have to go back and look at the minutes to see what we approved. I just want to make sure we don't exceed that, and then it'll come back around to something we allocated it towards, like the aerial truck is like, well, it's going to come out of the general fund because the ARPA money's already gone.
I don't know if that's true, but obviously we'll have to look at it. If it were that it went over, I would get, what's that?
It's all accounted for. So we have 1.6 and change for this, and 1.8 and change for the ladder truck. Brings us to zero balance.
And there's nothing of those 3 items that I would forego or regret if it were more, but you're telling us it's not, and that's great too, but all, necessary.
It's amazing to me. One of the commitments when we first came on 3.5 years ago was to bump up our road budget. Yeah. And I remember one of the meetings, I looked back 15 years prior and just looked at specific roads that were done and everything. And it's really cool to see the fact that 3.5 years we've committed this many. I mean, we've committed more in the past 3.5 years than we did in 20 years.
Oh yeah.
It's something astronomically different, which
not sure if that's true, but it is definitely.
It was very low.
Yeah, it is.
It was very low. Like a lot of times we would allot 1.5, and we were like, one year we were 600.
Library year, it was.
I think over time too, the county has kind of unfortunately been less and less able to do as much as they have pulled back.
Actually,
and I'm grateful. I think we have to stay aggressive, Ryan. I think you're right. I think that's excellent.
I think that was a big push by Catherine Henry, and we had a majority saying let's do roads. Something that was pushed for in 2017, 2018, 2019 of roads they're falling into disrepair. We're getting farther and farther behind. So it's good to actually have a majority to get that through. And
no, I think Carlton might take issue with the idea of it falling apart because he was very good, I think, at organizing. I'm glad we got more aggressive, but I don't want to dissipate the past and just say disparage everything that was done before. I think it was
the board that made the decision.
I think often we received good recommendation from he and Rod, and it was good information. I'm glad we got more aggressive. Don't get me wrong. I think we have to stay aggressive, but I don't think the past that we were somehow delinquent either.
I think when we cut it to take that money and reallocate it to library construction, that was
not true.
600,000, I think.
Not true.
Brian, was it 600,000?
I would have to.
That we dropped it from 1.5.
I think we've done between 45 and 50 miles in the last 2 years.
Great. Great. Okay. Well, the motion's before you, right? Are we ready to vote here? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And it is passed. Okay, we moved those items up earlier to 13A and B. So 13A would be second public comment period. So anyone here tonight that would like to address the board on any topic, this is your opportunity to do so. Yes, sir. Just identify who you are and
Hi.
welcome.
I'm John Anderson. I'm running for sheriff of Ottawa County. Just want to come by and introduce myself.
You're welcome.
Just say some very brief comments, information about myself. I am currently the interim county administrator for Ottawa County. It was a position I accepted just to help them out so they can spend a little more time doing an in-depth search for a full-time position. Last 2 years, I've also been co-owner of Bullet Hole Firearms here over in Holland. More importantly, I suppose, as far as qualifications go, I'm a retired sheriff's commander from the Riverside Sheriff's Department. And I always kind of hesitate to say where that was from, but it was Southern California, and I can't get around that. I am from there originally. I spent 30 years out there working in law enforcement, went through all the ranks, working my way up to a command level, served as the chief of police role. I had a vast amount of assignments there. I was looking for some place to go in retirement, and I actually did pick Michigan. I found Livingston County, where I knew a friend, went out and visited and loved it here. Spent a little bit of time over there, worked for the Livingston Sheriff, just doing some of their cold case investigations. At some point, I accepted an interim type job with Spectrum Health, being a manager of the security operations. That's what got me out to the west side of the state. Excuse me. When that ran its course, I was kind of looking around. My wife and I found Ottawa County. We went out and settled in Grand Haven Township about 5 years ago. Love everything about the county, and that's the big reason why I'm doing this. I will do anything I can to help my county so it maintains the safety that we enjoy here, and as well as making sure everybody's freedoms are protected. And I did want to just mention before I run out of time, I was honored to get some news today that I would like to share with you. I had 2 separate phone calls. One was from the Ottawa County Deputy Sheriff's Union. The other was the Ottawa County Correctional Deputies Union. They held a vote, and they voted to actually endorse me for sheriff. So with that, I would just want to say thank you for giving me the time to introduce myself.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Langer, District 6 Commissioner.
Welcome.
Put a face to the name. Just wanted to introduce myself. My husband and I moved here roughly 10 years ago. I jumped into the community. We came here for the music and sports program for our son originally. We had come off the mission field. And I jumped in with our church. I'm a mentor mom to 8 to 10 girls annually. It changes with the school system. My husband and I are small group cohort leaders, as well as we have our own small group that we run each year. And on that note, it is on the 2nd and 4th Monday every month. So I have arranged to have a replacement to talk to you about what you would like to expect from me. Meeting-wise, I did some research as far as like different commissioners some were almost non-existent, some were quarterly, some were more frequently. So I wanted to talk to you about that. Also, community-wise, I jumped in with both feet a couple of years ago, became a precinct delegate, and then I was asked to be on the executive committee for the Ottawa County Republican Party, which led to me becoming the chair of membership. So I'm in charge of all of our precinct delegate recruiting, vetting, all of that. And then also I am on our accountability team for the OCRP. For the commissioner position, that was a position that was, someone asked me if I would be interested in that originally, and I was like, whoa. It took me a minute. I prayed about it. I asked God to slam the door if he did not want me to have it. And here I am. I'm the District 6 Commissioner. So I look forward to working with all of you. I would like to know, would you like me to come quarterly? Would you like me to bring a county report each time, a quick county report every other month? What you would like from me? Anybody?
Donuts.
Oh, you beat me, John. You beat me.
At least quarterly.
Nice,
at least quarterly, and if you can,
okay.
Some of our meetings, and just get to know you. We'd enjoy that.
Like that.
Yeah, I think maybe the treasurer talked you to. She was here last meeting, and I brought that up. Like, we're 6th of the population in the county.
Mm-hmm.
We feel like we had no representation in Ottawa County. We look at the $54 million of ARPA money. It wasn't spent here. It was spent on the Lake Shore for social justice, garbage, and it just evaporated, and it's very frustrating. We just approved infrastructure of $5 million, and we got more to spend, and that would have been a lot better off. It helped Georgetown, it helped London Township, would have been something we could have did. But it felt like the county has no problem with us spending money that way, but we seem like we're kind of like the stepchild over here, and nobody seems to care, and yet we have 54,000 residents.
That was one of the things from the last commissioners was the ARPA money, so I think it's good to look forward and work together and have some discussions.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not all about government handouts, but it's frustrating when you see the ARPA Commission with 2 Muskegon Community College representatives on it. It's like, you're Muskegon County. We split from there in 1859. That's why Grand Haven's over there. So I'm just pointing out my frustration when I look at a township our size and the little bit of representation we have on the other side of the county.
Okay, good. Anytime you are coming as a commissioner and you want to let me know in advance, we'll put you on the agenda too. And then you're not necessarily the 3 minutes. So I think in fairness to all the candidates here, we probably should take a further discussion with you outside the meeting. But if you ever want to be an item on the agenda, just let me know. We'll put you on.
If we would like to make it regular, that would work. You know, like if you want to we can do that. That way, I can prearrange for someone to take my position, and then we can just have it on the schedule and it can be regular if that works for you.
Also, meeting informally with Rob and Jim for lunch or something like that would be great.
Okay.
Years ago, there was a real strong tie with the commissioners, and they knew what was happening here. We knew it, and they represented us well. And it's not that it's dwindled, and we didn't know who you were. Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
For the record, you took off January 1st, right?
I'm sorry?
You started January 1st? Am I correct?
I don't know if that was the exact, no.
It was right in that vicinity.
Around there. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, it's in her defense though. She's been there 3 months. We saw Kyle maybe 3 to 4 times in the past 3 years. Rebecca maybe 2 or 3 times. So I just want to make sure we held previous ones accountable, just like.
Right. But Kyle would call personally individuals, and he did that a lot.
We appreciate you coming.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Where were you on the mission field, by the way? Where overseas?
Rainforest of Sarah.
Sorry? Oh, okay. All right. I was out on the mission field overseas as well.
Crocodiles, lots of crocodiles.
Oh, boy. She watches for scorpions. Anyone else?
Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the 90-day clock is ticking. So I'm thinking, from what I heard, our first look for a new candidate, we did some work. We put some postings out there. We worked with the county for their ideas of where, to Gary's point, all we do is seem to give the county money all the time, right? Why don't we not give the county money? Why don't we do a search, do our due diligence, put a dollar amount on that search for that level 4 assessor and see if something comes out within this 90-day period. Why don't we do something like that? The assessor from the county had 2 names, had a couple names. He already had a couple people in mind. Why can't we get those names? And the thing is, you don't need a level 4 right from the get-go. From what I read on the MCL, the law, is that you can get a level 3. As long as that level 3 is going to take the test for the level 4, you guys have a 6-month additional window. So all you got to do is find a level 3 that's willing to take the test for level 4. And you don't have to be in the state of Michigan, from what he said, because there are some cross-state certifications that can happen as well. The person just has to take the test. So I think we can broaden our search. So I'm hoping you guys want to be a hero and save the county millions of dollars. So the clock's ticking. We'll see. I hope you consider that.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is John Bannon. I live at 842 Rosewood. I've been a Georgetown resident now for 26 years. So, first of all, let me start by saying thank you. I know being a government official in today's world is not always easy. So, tough decisions as well as the scrutiny, just know that it's appreciated from a township. I'm here to talk to you guys about something far less important than anything that's been on the agenda, and that's the park that's right next to my house. It's 8th Avenue Community Park. I was first going to come to express my disdain or displeasure for your removal of the fishing dock that happened this past week, but now that it's gone, I got to be honest, I kind of like it. It kind of looks like a more natural setting, and it was a little dilapidated and certainly needed some attention. But on that, I also want to talk about the park itself. I know that we have a goose problem there, continues to have elevated levels of E. coli throughout the summer. We know that we're coming up on the summer months. We know that that park gets used an awful lot. I would actively and urge you to do whatever aggressive measures you have to do to either address the goose problem, which is what I understand to be the result of the E. coli problem, and some of that whole thing works together, so to speak. So whatever you can do to ramp up efforts to work on that, I would strongly encourage you to do it. The other thing I would ask is that the algae in that lake continues to seem to get more and more. The weeds that continue to grow up, you may not notice it now, but by the time it gets midsummer, mid-August, you can almost walk across that lake sometimes with some of the algae pods that are there. And then the final thing that I wanted to bring to your attention is at least talk about is the whole sewer line main that went down Chicago Drive a number of years ago. I know there was an issue with a distinct odor smell, so much so that you guys put some sort of sewer, incinerator, odor, something on the back portion there, kind of right next to the senior center. In my mind, I still don't understand why engineering can't figure out a way to eliminate the odor. But in my mind, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. We'll just put it where nobody can see it. And I guess part of my concern with that is that you guys did that. You put it out of sight, out of mind, but now it looks like absolute garbage. If you look at that lake and you stand at the pavilion and you scan that lake, you have beautiful natural environment, and you get to this back corner, and it looks like it was just something that was dumped there. You guys spent a considerable amount of money on that senior center. And it's my understanding that the retaining wall itself was somewhere in the $75,000 to $80,000. It looks beautiful. You guys put the same retaining wall next to that incinerator, and it looks great. But then somehow, some way, we put the cheapest chain link fence around the top of that incinerator, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb. In the last 15 seconds, I guess what I'm asking for is somehow, some way, please create some natural green barrier along that back edge around the incinerator, plant some good-sized pine trees, get on a green kick, maybe plant that whole side of the wall with some green seedlings or something, right? But just somehow, some way, give it some continuity around that lake so that that incinerator just doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So,
thank you.
I thank you for your time.
Good ideas. You didn't mention the beavers. That surprised me. So, I suppose if you had another minute, that would come up, yeah. Glad you enjoyed it. Yes, sir.
I'm Sean Half, Georgetown Township as well. I'm running for Commissioner in District 6. The last gentleman did raise some good points I want to address. I live within walking distance of the park there, and during the summertime, the geese problem there is it's a serious problem. I like to walk around there a lot, and half the time I'm spending time watching what I'm stepping in because of the amount of geese. I also like to fish a little bit, and it's gotten real weedy and kind of junky in there the last couple of years. So I share a lot of the concerns he had as well, and hopefully that's something you guys can look into and address as well. Just to give you a little introduction about who I am, I'm 50 years old. I've lived here in Ottawa County for 40 years. I went to Jamestown Elementary for several years. I was homeschooled for a couple of years, went to Hudsonville High School, Grand Valley State in Allendale, went to law school at Cooley and Grand Rapids. I kind of, after living here in Ottawa County for so long, had some urges to move and travel a little bit. So the other 10 years of my life, I moved over to faraway Kent County and lived there. So I have very strong roots in the community here. I am a lawyer. I was the president of the Federal Society when I was in law school, which has done a lot of work to appoint conservative and libertarian justices to the courts. Justices like Neil Gorsuch, for example, and Amy Coney Barnett were all people that the Federal Society had vetted and so forth. I'm looking forward to getting to know some of you people a little better and talk about some of the issues, but I just wanted to briefly introduce myself and say if anybody wants to talk to me, I'll probably be getting in touch with some of you more later, and you can feel free to reach out to me as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Live on Baldwin Street. A while back when I asked you on the land developer, because some guy was complaining about sidewalks and things, and I asked you that the land developer pays for everything on that lot, goes into, the price of his lot. And you say in the planning commission they didn't know. Did you find anything out?
I'm honestly drawing a blank on your question. You're talking to me directly?
Yeah.
This is something you can gladly bring up with me after the meeting. We're not in a dialogue right now, but I'd like to hear. You're welcome to continue.
Well, I asked.
Refresh my recollection.
I asked you during the meeting that the landowner, some people were complaining about not having sidewalks, and they wanted Georgetown to pay for some of the sidewalks. Don't remember that? A couple.
What street are we talking about?
Well, any street in addition.
36th Avenue.
Yeah, the back of the property.
Okay.
I think it's important that we don't do a back and forth if it's public comment.
Yeah.
So the homeowners on those lots pay for the sidewalks in front of their houses, but we wouldn't require them to put sidewalks in their back of their houses. So we are looking at possibly, we haven't approved that yet, we're getting engineering to find what it would cost to put sidewalks down 36th Avenue along the backs of those houses.
Well, I thought the landowner.
You've got the dialogue started. I think in fairness, you still have time, so you can continue with your time. I want to make sure, but I just want to say to the board, some of you have better recollection than I do, so maybe we take up the discussion with him more fully, but finish, please.
You didn't know about the planning commission. It's people who have that develop these lots, everything that they go to the street for sewer and water and everything else is paid for by the land developer. And he puts that into his price of his lot. But the sidewalk on there shouldn't, the people who buy the house should not pay for the sidewalk. It should be the land developer. That's what my question was quite a few weeks ago when I asked that. And you said you would have to find out from the planning commission if there's anything in that can make when they come in to get a lot or do an addition, that person will pay for that.
Now I know what you're referring to, and I'll make myself and Gary, hopefully too as well, available if you're around when we come out of closed session. Okay? Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that second public comment period. Discussion, general information among the board. I had a couple, but go ahead and,
I just mentioned I was asked to be involved in the county park and the surveys they're doing. And this last week, there was about 6 hours where they had a session with about 30 people that attended. And Joe Bush was there. It was very, very meaningful, and I talked to them about trying to do some partnerships, particularly with trails, and possibility of being able to go for some grants. We had talked a while back about the utility lines that run across our township, but the terrific expense of being able to, having to go to court in order to be able to put those down. And I approached them on that, and there seems to be some interest that they might pursue some grants with us, particularly because that could connect, and Gary had mentioned this a while back, it would connect with the Greenbelt potentially. So it was a wonderful meeting. I'm going to share the information with the Services Committee after this. Also, I want to thank Justin and Rob. I know Mr. Plowman had a lot of questions, and you met with him this week for about an hour. I appreciate you doing that. He had many, many concerns. Thank you for taking that time. And then last week we had Cheryl Clark came and talked with us. She's running for county treasurer, and she gave a great speech about delinquent taxes. She was very impressive. And I know on our finance committee, we received pages of our delinquent taxes, and I don't know where we stand on those. And I'd like to see some type of report of what happened in 2020, 21, 22, 23. Where do we stand right now? I'd like to see a presentation of what we have. Could something like that be put together at our next meeting?
Well, it'd be unprecedented, but you could ask me anything you want to ask me. Stop and set up a date to meet in the office, and I can explain everything to you. I've got the updated sheet here with delinquent taxes.
I don't think it'd be unprecedented.
Has that ever happened before?
I'd like to see a report on our delinquent taxes and where do we stand.
Yeah, it's something that's never been brought up.
Pardon me?
It's never been on a finance agenda in the history of Georgetown, and suddenly last week it showed up, which is strange timing with an election, but we won't go down that road. But I would be more than happy to explain how
Are we up to
taxes
date
work.
with our taxes?
Yes, we are. Going back to, as you looked at the previous one, the one you looked at was, I'd have to look at the date to see that when that was printed, but that showed a 98,000, actually it's 68 and dropping. So the one you looked at is not an accurate one. So, and I've got an accurate one here showing which ones are out of business too. I would say probably 50% are on the list are out of business. They're not in the location. So I would love to set up a meeting. You can come in.
These people have been contacted about delinquent taxes.
Yep.
You've
and
contacted.
you can have Justin and Rob sit in the meeting too if you feel threatened. Or I think
Not threatened.
you've kind of
have a presentation.
you've mentioned it before at meetings, but I'd say and Jim could join us too, and Ryan Kidd also. So as long as we keep it 3, it's not a quorum. I'd be more than happy to present to you. Or you could come to a finance meeting. Next finance meeting, come to that meeting. We'll go over it all. And we can have Jill there too, the assessor.
Where are we at with our delinquent taxes?
Did you not look at the delinquent tax sheet that was on there on the finance meeting that you're referencing?
I've asked previously where we're at, and I'm told that they're not being followed up on.
Oh, they are being followed up on. So what is the number? Where are we at?
I don't think that
You're not sure? You're just...
Well,
so is there,
can you give us a presentation? Can you tell us where we're at?
That's what I just said. Come to
How many
finance.
did we have this year that you had to deal with?
It was right on par with previous years.
Give
going
me
back
a number.
12 years. They average anywhere from 15 to 25,000 a year.
Okay, are you calling these people out of your office?
No, I'd go there in person. I'd go to the business in person.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of what's happening right here. I'm not a big fan of this. So I'm trying to understand the end game here. You're trying to publicly smear here, even though he's answered your question once or twice here. So I'm very bothered by what's going on right here. Please be more professional and actually have a conversation outside of this if you need to and figure it out. What you're doing right here is a public smear during an election time. And you know what you're doing is wrong. So I'm just going to call a spade right here and say that this conversation has been 2 to 3 minutes now and it could have been dealt with. Just an email to him, ask him to give the numbers, okay?
The finance committee, did you look that over?
We did look it over. We did, and that was the first time we had seen that. Yes, it was definitely addressed. So that's why I'm very bothered by what's going on right here. Because you know what you're doing, and I know what you're doing, and I don't like it. So.
Anyone else? All right, I've got a couple. The speed study in Rosewood is going to come before us at the next meeting in May, and I appreciate the work we've seen put in by Brad Slaw has been helpful. Obviously, this involves the Michigan State Police, but those are a lot of residents who are rightfully concerned about their kids and in a 55-mile-per-hour speed limit there. So, yes, we're going to take all steps necessary to get that moving. They've requested it. We'll facilitate that request. And I believe it's Michigan State Police that will do that study. So that'll be on the May agenda. I went to a visitation for a former supervisor this past week, Jim Holtfor. I want to mention that publicly. He served this township as supervisor. Was he before, help me now, he was 2 before Dale Moore, I think.
Yeah.
Preceding Dale Moore was, help me?
Bill Holland.
Bill Holland. And then before Bill, I think, was Jim.
Yes.
And I think he was 1 term, if I'm not mistaken.
On the outside of the building.
Yeah, that's right. He's on the sign up there. But yeah, you're right. And then I think he was county commission for a while, and I think he didn't run the last time or something. He was done. I don't know how old. I want to say he was approximately 80, but really gave a lot to service both to this township and as well as to this county. And I didn't want to see that pass without at least a mention. I went there and mentioned to his wife. I said, thank you on behalf of Georgetown. I know he sort of moved on from Georgetown years ago, but he never really left, right? This was where he represented when he was on the county commission. That's two supervisors having died in a handful of years, which kind of it's foreboding, hits home. But I appreciated what Jim did, and I let his family know, and I just want to make it public that we appreciate that as well as a township. So, Jim Holtfor. I was driving from Hudsonville back into Georgetown, so heading to the east. I don't know if it's that big a deal, but it kind of struck me. I did a turnaround and went back again. I thought, there's no sign to indicate when you've come into Georgetown. There's the really sort of fancy, City of Hudsonville sign with the decorations around it, which I don't blame them. That's their main entryway. And I'm not suggesting we ought to do something of that nature, but there ought to be something that would say, now you're Georgetown, because you look at there's some good stuff along there. That new building that was erected just to the east of the cattle processing plant, which is amazing state of the art. That's Hudsonville.
Yep.
But I don't think it's much beyond that. When you come to that new building, that's us. I believe that's us.
Two buildings that went up, that's Georgetown.
That's us, right?
Yeah, where Molly Greens or whatever's in there.
Molly Greens, that's right. I drove by and was like, I'm kind of proud. That looks really good. I kind of like people to know, hang on, Hudsonville, that's us. You've crossed the line, so to speak. So, I don't know if that's services, maybe that's more utilities, but the thought of just, I don't care, even if it's just, one of those plain green and white, entering Georgetown, something that says to the driver, okay, because I think sometimes the assumption is it's all Hudsonville until you get close to Myers. No, it's not. So that's sort of a pride thing.
Services has been talking about signs. That's something that has been an ongoing conversation.
Can I put that on your...
We would love to take that one under consideration.
Okay. That's enough. That's all. Anyone else?
I was just going to say, where is he? Oh, he's still there. John Van Manen. I think he made an excellent point, which has always been one of my concerns, is it's rules for thee, but not for, rules for, how does that? But not for me.
Rules for thee, but not for me.
So in regards to the screening, so a business goes in that we want a green belt barrier for the business abutting a neighborhood. And I'm surprised we don't have trees around, and that's not your fault, Rob. That was before your time. But I think we should lead by an example and put that, because that's something to consider. I haven't been to the park. I've been there a few times, not looking that way. It's kind of like walking around and enjoying it.
We can talk about it at services.
So I would like to recommend services address that and look at the cost, increase the cost of what it would be to put some trees up to, because it is, like he says, it's, you got beautiful enough and you got distinct, I forget what it's called.
Rod could paint like a tree on that tank.
Do what?
Have Rod Gainter paint a tree on that tank. What do you think, Rod?
They take cell phone towers and make them look like pine trees way up high in the air.
I think also every year goose problem does come up.
That was what I was going to talk about. So we talked about it.
Should be something that
Waterford has the goose lady.
We'll talk about that.
That's services.
Services uses the goose lady too.
All right.
And services, back in 2018, we discussed it, and we talked about actually hiring a company that brings the dog in, and the dog runs around.
We already have that.
You got the dog guy?
Yes, the dog lady.
We also talked about
It just started last year.
Touchy issue, but
You have the boat lady? Who chases them around there? Yeah.
The dog lady in a boat.
Me and the dog and doing all the things.
Apparently more often.
Well, this will be our first spring, right? Yeah.
Good.
And there's a goose roundup, we hope.
And I also wanted to thank our commissioner, Wenzel, actually not mine because I'm sub-district, but for coming tonight and introducing yourself. I appreciate that. And yeah, we haven't had a whole lot show up before. And as far as contacting, it's a two-way street. I've talked to the commissioners that aren't even my commissioners. I've been to board meetings, and I remember ARPA back with the old commissioners. I don't remember seeing you there, but I was there pleading. I'm like, we had this ARPA money. Do not spend it. Please do not spend it. Table it. Think about it. Let the new commissioners decide where the ARPA funds go, but they were going scorched earth. And I was there saying, we've got a $16 million water project. I was alone. I was the only one there. I wasn't representing the
I talked to Kyle Turkster numerous times.
I talked to Kyle Turkster too. And
Rob and I went up to the county as well, so we're with you on that one. Yep.
So, but it is a two-way street. You can contact any commissioner, not just your commissioner. You can contact any of them. And from what I've seen, they always answer the phone and answer emails. So,
okay. Anybody else?
Mike, let's get together this week. And if you need a formal apology if I'm wrong, but I'd like to see what you have. And it'd be nice if we had either Justin or Rob sit down. We can do it tomorrow, next day. This week would be great.
Well, the immediacy isn't there yet. We're in the process right now. We've got the list, but next
you can show me back 20, 21, 22, 23. Just show me that we've been doing this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I remember it was interesting too. So when I started, my first day, I had a list on my desk, and I said, "What's this?" And Dan Carlton said, "That's the delinquent property taxes." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And he says, "Those are people who haven't paid." And it was dating back 5 years. That's how it works. So the drop off, we just had a court hearing. I should have been there. I didn't realize we weren't going to have appropriate representation at the court for Helsing, but I've been to them before, and it was a straightforward process.
Can we do it this week?
But what Dan Carlson said to me, I said, "So what's the process?" And he said, "Mike, we're in the middle of the Rona." He said, "Half these businesses are going to be out of business. Don't waste your time. See how it shakes out." So then I did. It was during the Rona, and then the next year I started knocking doors. There's P.O. boxes. And I asked, what do I do with the P.O. box? Do I stake it out? Do I sit out there and wait for somebody to get the mail, hope they come by? And then I jump on them and say, "Hey, you collecting mail, who are you? You owe us taxes."
Can we meet tomorrow?
So, and here's what I'll give you a hint of what we've been working on. I'm working on putting together standard operating procedures for our treasurer, because we will have a new one coming up. And that way we have a process of, because I was told nothing. I don't have access to a computer. I don't have access to anything. I didn't have phone numbers for these. I had P.O. boxes. I didn't have a list that was accurate of what businesses gone out. Apparently, we do correspondence. I found that out a week ago. There's a process. I am in the process of laying a groundwork for any treasurer in the future of how we do it.
Okay.
So, but it is.
All right. One of the things we meet this week. Give me a time. I'll be here.
I said, come to the next finance meeting. We'll talk about it. And that way
So
everybody.
you don't want to meet with me. You don't want to make a presentation to our group.
No, we've never done it. I said, I will do it in finance. And I'd be more than happy to have you attend. Whatsoever.
I don't think anything's happening.
Every year,
well, you can do what you want, but that's
on the anniversary, I should say, of our superintendent, we will, as any employee in the township would receive from our superintendent, we as a board evaluate our superintendent. So just for the sake of those here tonight, when you wonder why we're going into closed session next, it's a request that was made by Rob to me per the policy in writing. He wanted to have his evaluation in closed session. I don't blame him. So we're going to make a motion here momentarily to go into closed session. It means we're going to retreat to the room over here. We're going to evaluate and talk about our superintendent and about his contract and so on. And then we'll come out of closed session out here and we'll do no further business. At that point, we'll have a motion to adjourn. And so, you're welcome to stay, but there will be nothing more of any substance that will occur. So wanted you to know that. And so board, with no further ado, is there a motion that we go into closed session?
So move.
Support.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Motion to come out of closed session?
Support.
Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're back in session. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'd make that motion.
Support.
Supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you.